I was just days away from owning my dream house. 5 years of blood, sweat, and sacrifice. Then one phone call changed everything. While I was unconscious, fighting for my life in the hospital, my own family made a decision that would destroy me forever. My mother sold my house to save my brother's failing business. But that's not even the worst part. When I woke up 6 weeks later, they tried to lie to me. What happened next will make your blood boil. This is my story of ultimate betrayal, and I'm about to tell you everything. Axel wiped the sweat from his forehead as he climbed the tall scaffolding at the construction site in Lagos. The morning sun was already fierce, and the metal bars burned his hands through his worn gloves. He had been working as a construction supervisor for 5 years, saving every naira to buy his own house. "Be careful up there," shouted his friend Marcus from below. The building was going to be a shopping mall, and today they were installing the roof beams. Axel smiled and waved, feeling proud of how far the project had come. His phone buzzed in his pocket. A text from his mother, Nkiru: "Your brother Zefan's business is growing well. He says he might need help soon." Axel frowned slightly. His younger brother had always been the family favorite, but his business ideas never seemed to work out. He put the phone away and focused on his work. In just 2 more months, he would finish paying for his beautiful 3-bedroom house in Victoria Island. Years of sacrifice were finally paying off. High above the busy Lagos street, Axel carefully positioned a heavy steel beam. The crane operator below waited for his signal. Everything had to be perfect, one mistake could cost lives. He raised his hand to signal when his phone rang loudly. Without thinking, he reached for the phone while still holding the beam guide rope. It was his mother calling. "Axel, my son, how are you?" she said in their local dialect. "Mama, I'm working. Can I call you back?" he replied, trying to balance the phone between his ear and shoulder. The wind picked up suddenly, making the scaffolding sway slightly. "It's about Zefan's business. He needs money urgently. Some big opportunity came up and he needs to act fast. You know how smart your brother is with business," she continued, her voice filled with excitement. Axel felt frustrated. His brother was always asking for money, and their mother always supported him. "Mama, I told you I'm buying my house. I can't help right now," he said firmly, adjusting his grip on the rope. The steel beam swung dangerously as a stronger gust of wind hit the construction site. Axel dropped his phone, trying to grab the rope with both hands, but it was too late. The beam knocked him off balance and he felt himself falling through the air. "Axel!" Marcus screamed from below, running toward where his friend was falling. Other workers scattered, their faces filled with horror. The scaffolding creaked and groaned as Axel's body hit the metal bars on his way down. Time seemed to move slowly. Axel saw the blue sky, then the concerned faces of his co-workers rushing toward him. Pain shot through his entire body as he hit the ground with a sickening thud. Blood pooled around his head, and his vision became blurry. His last clear thought before losing consciousness was about his house. The keys were supposed to be handed over next week. He had worked so hard, saved so much, and now everything felt like it was slipping away. The sounds of sirens grew louder as darkness took over. The sterile white walls of Lagos University Teaching Hospital became Axel's world. Tubes and wires connected his broken body to various machines that beeped constantly. His head was wrapped in thick bandages and both his legs were in heavy casts. Dr. Emeka checked his chart with a serious expression. "He has severe head trauma and multiple fractures," he told the nurse quietly. "He'll need extensive surgery and months of rehabilitation. The bills will be very expensive." Axel drifted in and out of consciousness, sometimes hearing voices but unable to respond. In his confused state, he worried about his job, his house payments, and how his family would manage. The pain medication made everything feel like a distant dream. Nkiru sat beside his bed, holding his hand and crying softly. "My son, please wake up. We need you," she whispered. Her phone kept buzzing with calls from Zefan, but she ignored them, focusing only on her injured son. The medical bills were already piling up, and the doctor said Axel would need at least 6 months in the hospital. His construction job couldn't wait that long, and his savings were quickly disappearing into medical expenses. While Axel fought for his life, Zefan paced nervously in his small apartment across town. His latest business venture, importing electronics from China, was falling apart. The containers had arrived, but the products were defective, and angry customers were demanding refunds he didn't have. "I need 50 million naira immediately or I'll lose everything," he told his girlfriend Chioma, his hands shaking as he looked at the threatening messages from his suppliers. "They're giving me 2 weeks to pay, or they'll take legal action." Chioma looked at him with concern. "What about your brother?" I heard he's in the hospital. Shouldn't we be focusing on that? Zephan felt guilty, but his desperation was stronger. Axel will be fine. He's strong. But if I don't fix this business problem now, our whole family will suffer. This could make us rich if I can just get past this obstacle. He had already spent his mother's retirement savings on the failed shipment. Now he needed more money and he knew exactly where to get it. His mind kept going back to Axel's house, the one his brother had worked so hard for, the one that was almost fully paid off. Deep down he told himself it was just a loan. Once his business recovered, he would buy Axel an even better house. 3 weeks had passed since Axel's accident. Nkiru sat in the hospital corridor, staring at the huge medical bill in her trembling hands. The number seemed impossible: 15 million naira for surgeries, medications and intensive care. Her son was improving slowly, but he was still unconscious most of the time. "Mrs. Okoro, we need to discuss payment arrangements," said the hospital administrator, a thin man with glasses who had approached her many times. "Your son's treatment is very expensive, and we've already extended our payment deadline twice." Nkiru's heart pounded. She had used up all her retirement savings, sold her jewelry and borrowed from neighbors. There was nothing left. "Please sir, just give me more time. My son is all I have. He's a good boy who works very hard." The administrator looked sympathetic but firm. "I understand your situation, ma'am, but the hospital has rules. Without payment by next week, we'll have to transfer him to a government hospital where the care won't be as good." That evening, Zephan visited his mother at the hospital. His face looked stressed and dark circles under his eyes showed he hadn't been sleeping well. His business problems were getting worse every day. "Mama, how much do the doctors want?" Zephan asked, though he already knew the amount. He had been planning this conversation for days, rehearsing the words in his mind. Nkiru showed him the bill with tears in her eyes. 15 million naira. I don't know where to get such money. I've tried everything, the bank won't give me a loan because I'm not working anymore. Zephan pretended to think deeply, putting his hand on his chin. "Mama, I have an idea, but you might not like it." He paused dramatically, watching his mother's desperate expression. "What about Axel's house? It's worth about 45 million naira. We could sell it to pay for his treatment and still have money left over." "Sell his house?" Nkiru gasped. "But that's his dream. He worked so hard for it. He saved for years and sacrificed everything." "Mama, what good is a house if Axel dies?" Zephan said, his voice filled with fake concern. "Houses can be bought again, but life cannot be brought back. Besides, when he recovers and goes back to work, we can help him get another house. Maybe even a better one." Nkiru looked at her unconscious son through the glass window. Axel looked so fragile connected to all those machines. The thought of losing him was unbearable. Late that night, Zephan met with a real estate agent named Jubril at a quiet restaurant in Ikeja. The man was known for handling quick property sales, especially for desperate sellers who needed cash immediately. "The house is in Victoria Island, 3 bedrooms, modern finishing. My brother bought it, but he's having some financial problems and needs to sell quickly." Zephan lied smoothly, sliding the property documents across the table. Jubril examined the papers with interest. "This is prime property. Worth at least 45 million in the current market. But for a quick sale I can get you 35 million within 1 week. Cash payment." "Perfect," Zephan said, trying to hide his excitement. His plan was working. He would use 15 million for Axel's hospital bills, and the remaining 20 million would save his business. "But this needs to be completely confidential. My brother is proud and he doesn't want people to know about his financial troubles." Jubril nodded understandingly. "Many of my clients prefer privacy. I'll handle everything discreetly. Just get your mother to sign the authorization papers since she's listed as next of kin for emergency decisions." Zephan smiled darkly. Getting his mother's signature would be easy. She trusted him completely and would do anything to save Axel's life. The next morning, Zephan returned to the hospital with official-looking documents he had prepared. Nkiru was sitting beside Axel's bed, holding his hand and praying softly in their local language. "Mama, I spoke with a real estate lawyer last night," Zephan said gently, sitting beside her. "He says we can sell Axel's house quickly, but we need your signature on these papers since you're his emergency contact." Nkiru took the documents with shaking hands. The legal language was complicated and confusing. "I don't understand all these big words, my son. It's just standard legal language, Mama. It basically says you have permission to sell the property to pay for medical expenses." The lawyer explained everything to me. Zephan handed her a pen, his heart racing with anticipation. "Are you sure this is the right thing to do?" Nkiru asked, looking at Axel's peaceful face. "What if he wakes up and gets angry with us?" "Mama, Axel loves his family more than any building. He would want us to do whatever it takes to save his life. When he recovers, he'll thank us for making this difficult decision." Zefan's voice sounded sincere, but his eyes showed the desperation of a man drowning in debt. With tears streaming down her face, Nkiru signed the papers. She believed she was saving her son's life, not knowing she was also destroying his dreams. 1 week later, the sale was completed. Jibril had found a buyer quickly, a young businessman who paid 35 million naira cash for Axel's dream house. The new owner was already planning renovations, excited about his prime Victoria Island property. Zefan stood outside the house one last time, watching as the new owner measured the compound. A small part of him felt guilty seeing another man's dreams replacing his brother's, but his desperation pushed the guilt away. He paid the hospital bill immediately, 15 million naira that cleared Axel's debt and secured his continued treatment. The hospital staff praised the family for their quick payment, not knowing the true source of the money. The remaining 20 million went straight to Zefan's business debts. He paid off his angry suppliers and even had money left over to order new inventory. For the first time in months, he felt like he could breathe again. "Thank you, God," he whispered, convincing himself that everything had worked out perfectly. "Now both Axel's health and my business are saved." This was the best solution for everyone. But deep in the hospital, Axel's condition was actually improving faster than expected. The doctors had mentioned to Nkiru just that morning that he might wake up within the next few days. His brain swelling was reducing and his vital signs were getting stronger. Zefan walked away from his brother's former house, not knowing that very soon Axel would wake up and discover what had been done while he fought for his life. Axel's eyes fluttered open slowly, the bright hospital lights making him squint. Everything felt heavy and strange. His head throbbed with pain and he couldn't move his legs. Machines beeped softly around him, and the smell of antiseptic filled his nostrils. "My son, you're awake." Nkiru jumped up from her chair, tears of joy streaming down her face. She had been praying for this moment for 6 weeks. Thank God, thank God. I thought I had lost you forever." Axel tried to speak, but his throat was dry and sore from the breathing tube. A nurse quickly brought him water, helping him take small sips. His memory was foggy, but slowly pieces started coming back. The construction site, the phone call, the fall. How long have I been here?" he whispered weakly, his voice barely audible. His mother looked older than he remembered, with new gray hairs and deep worry lines on her face. 6 weeks, my dear. You had surgery on your brain and both legs. The doctor said it was a miracle you survived." Nkiru held his hand tightly, as if afraid he might disappear again. Axel closed his eyes, trying to process everything. 6 weeks meant he had missed work, missed his house payment, missed everything important in his life. A cold fear began growing in his stomach. Dr. Emeka entered the room with a smile, happy to see his patient finally conscious. He checked Axel's vital signs and asked simple questions to test his mental recovery. Everything looked promising. "The good news is your brain is healing well," the doctor explained. "But you'll need several months of physical therapy for your legs. The hospital bill has been paid in full, so you can focus completely on getting better." Axel looked confused. "Paid in full? How much was it?" He tried to calculate in his foggy mind weeks in intensive care, multiple surgeries, expensive medications. It had to be millions of naira. Nkiru quickly answered, "Don't worry about money now, my son. Just focus on getting strong again. Your brother Zefan helped us handle all the financial matters." Zefan. Axel was surprised. His younger brother never had much money, and his business ventures usually failed. How did he get money for hospital bills? He had some success with his business recently," Nkiru said, avoiding eye contact. The lie tasted bitter in her mouth, but she convinced herself it was necessary. "He was so worried about you. He really stepped up as your brother." Axel felt grateful but also suspicious. Something in his mother's voice didn't sound right. However, the pain medication made it hard to think clearly, so he decided to ask more questions later. 3 days later, Axel felt strong enough to use his phone. His friend Marcus had been calling regularly, and Axel wanted to thank him for his support. But Marcus sounded strange when he answered. "Axel, thank God you're okay, brother. We were all so scared at the construction site. How are you feeling?" Marcus's voice was happy but nervous. "I'm getting better slowly. Listen, I need you to help me with something. Can you check on my house? I missed several payments while I was unconscious. I need to call the bank and explain what happened. There was a long, uncomfortable silence on the phone. Marcus cleared his throat several times before speaking. Axel, you don't know? About the house. Know what? Axel felt his heart start beating faster. Marcus, what happened to my house? I thought your family would have told you by now. Brother, your house was sold about 3 weeks ago. I saw the new owner moving in. I'm sorry, I thought you knew. The phone slipped from Axel's weak hands, clattering to the floor. The room started spinning around him. His dream house, the one he had worked 5 years to buy, the one he had sacrificed everything for, gone. No, 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 he whispered, his breathing becoming rapid and shallow. That's impossible. Nobody could sell my house without my permission. When Kiru returned to the hospital that evening, she found Axel sitting up in bed, his eyes red with anger and pain. The cheerful atmosphere from his recovery had completely changed. Mama, sit down. We need to talk. His voice was cold and controlled, which scared Nkiru more than if he had been shouting. My son, you look upset. Are you in pain? Should I call the nurse? She said nervously, already knowing what this conversation would be about. My house is gone. Axel stared directly at his mother. My friend Marcus told me it was sold 3 weeks ago. You're listed as my emergency contact, so you had to sign the papers. Tell me the truth, what happened to my house? Nkiru began crying, but Axel's expression remained hard. Answer me, Mama. Don't cry. Just tell me the truth. We had no choice, she burst out. The hospital bills were 15 million naira. You were dying and they were going to move you to a government hospital where the care is terrible. Zefin said selling the house was the only way to save your life. Zefin. Axel's voice became dangerous. Where is he now? Why isn't he here explaining this himself? He's handling some business matters. He felt so guilty about the house that he couldn't face you yet. Another lie, but Nkiru didn't know what else to say. Axel laughed bitterly. Business matters. Let me guess, his electronics business that was failing last time I heard about it? The next day, Zefin finally came to the hospital. He had been avoiding the visit, hoping his mother could smooth things over first. He brought flowers and expensive fruits, trying to look like a caring brother. Axel. Thank God you're awake and getting better. I was so worried about you, brother. He tried to hug Axel, but his brother pulled away coldly. Sit down, Zefin. Tell me exactly how you paid for my hospital bills. Axel's voice was steady, but his eyes burned with rage. Zefin shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Well, you know my electronics business has been doing well lately. I had some profits saved up and family comes first, right? Liar. Axel's voice cut through the air like a knife. I called Jibril, the real estate agent. He told me everything. You sold my house for 35 million naira. You used 15 million for my bills and kept 20 million for your failing business debts. Zefin's face went pale. His carefully prepared lies crumbled instantly. Axel, listen, I can explain. Explain what? That you used my life-threatening accident as an opportunity to steal my house? That you manipulated our mother's fear to get her signature? That while I was fighting for my life, you were calculating how to profit from my misery? The hospital room fell silent except for the steady beeping of machines. Nkiru wept quietly in the corner, realizing for the first time how badly she had been deceived. Zefin tried one last desperate lie. Brother, I was planning to buy you a new house when my business recovered. This was just temporary. Get out. Axel's voice was barely above a whisper, but it carried the weight of absolute finality. Get out of this room. Get out of my life. You are no longer my brother. Moral lesson. Trust is the foundation of family relationships, but it must never be blind. When we face desperate situations, it's easy to make decisions that seem right in the moment but cause lasting damage. Zefin's greed and manipulation destroyed not only his brother's dreams but also the family bonds that should have been sacred. Sometimes the people closest to us can cause the deepest wounds, not through hatred but through selfishness disguised as love. True family members protect each other's dreams and work together through difficulties, rather than taking advantage of vulnerable moments. The story teaches us that integrity cannot be compromised, even in desperate times. Actions have consequences, and betraying someone's trust, especially when they cannot defend themselves, creates wounds that may never fully heal. In the end, Zefin gained money but lost something far more valuable: his family's love and respect. Thank you for watching till the end. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to this channel for more interesting videos like this.